All right, welcome to Life After the Fire. This is supposed to be the preeminent podcast on everything you need to know about life after a career in the fire service. I'm Chris Phelps, and I'm here today with Sam Eaton, a lifelong friend of mine.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I cannot believe this is the first podcast, and thanks for dropping that word to me just a few minutes ago.
Surprise. What do they say about beg forgiveness rather than ask permission? So
it's okay. It's all good.
Here you are. We're live and in person, and
welcome to the shit show.
Yeah. I think we're supposed to start with a shot. I don't know. Well, we could end with a shot. How about that?
Here's what I'm doing right now. Currently, I'm on a dry January, which might end up being dry March all the way through March or till April 1st. But I would join you, but I'm going to, since I'm on camera and there's evidence here, I am not going to do that because my daughter will kill me. So
it's all good. It's all good. So, I told you, briefly, very briefly, but the reason I wanted to put this whole idea together, this whole concept together, is because throughout my career, and I know throughout your career, we've seen folks whose careers have been cut short for whatever reason. Some could say my career was cut short. I did over a 30-year career combined between volunteer and paid, and all the way up, from the ranks of firefighter all the way up to fire chief and all the, stuff in between. But one, a good friend of mine, his career was cut short, and he wasn't prepared at all. I was fortunate that I had, a side business in the mortgage business. And it was an easier transition for me to go from career firefighter to mortgage lender now. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this, why I wanted to start this. And I couldn't think of anybody that had more stories in their hip pocket than you. So
I got a few. Depends on which road we want to go down. So we'll keep it where it's at. No,
what's your biggest passion?
Well, obviously, you're kind of looking at it here on the table, and if you're just listening here, we've got a helmet here on the table that's got a number of crosses on it, and also a memorial band that has a bunch of PATs, personal accountability tags, affixed to it, and these are losses of cancer. These are the guys that didn't make it, and one girl from my department, and the white helmet represents more statewide stuff. So you asked what my passion is. I guess since 2007, when my buddy Captain Butch Smith received a diagnosis of multiple myeloma cancer, it just turned everybody on their heads, and basically was given a 2-year diagnosis. Tough some bitch made it 9 years. He broke all odds on that, but it was really a catalyst for our department. We have a young 46-year-old captain that's got no cancer history, and he happens to catch one of the 21 cancers that Florida finally recognizes, multiple myeloma, which is directly linked to benzenes, which can be found on the fire ground. It can also be found in the fire stations, obviously with diesel emissions. So it was a big shock to everybody. Holy crap, Butch has got cancer. They're saying 2 years to live, and this guy's 6'5", big stud, stayed in shape all the time. A great leader, informal leader, a real leader in our department, and all eyes were on his situation. So that's how I got the helmet, and he was the guy that handed it to me. And he said, anytime you're talking about cancer, Sam, as he's fighting this himself, 21 days of chemo, 7 days off, 21 days of chemo, 7 days off, 21 days of chemo, 7 days off for 9 years. Imagine that. Imagine how sick you would be doing that.
It's heart-wrenching.
It is, and there was no life in that. But during that period of time, one of our brothers that was passing from cancer, he ended up passing from cancer. Tim Monahan, which anybody from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue and you as well would know that Tim Monahan was also a legacy driver operator and fire instructor here in the South Florida area. And Tim had a business making these helmets in retirement. This is the last helmet that Tim made.
Wow.
And he gave it to Butch, and he says, get this to Sam. And he says, tell him every time he talks about cancer, make sure he has it present. And I've made good on that ever since. First 2 crosses on this helmet were Tim Monahan and then Butch when he passed away. And then after that, I decided it would be a living memorial or a walking memorial or a standing memorial to their names, but also others that have passed from cancer.
Now, obviously, departments, the governments, they didn't just roll over and say, yeah, you know what, you're right. Cancer obviously came from the job. I mean, that was a huge battle to get that to be considered presumptive, right? So
Certainly was.
Walk us through
16
that.
years.
16
years for
I
the
didn't
state of
realize
Florida.
that.
We are the 48th state to finally recognize, embarrassingly,
Yeah.
48th state to finally recognize cancer as an issue that was career related. Sure, you and I are general population. Every firefighter is, but there's a reason why the wall in Colorado keeps getting added with name after name after name of firefighters that have lost their life to cancer. So yeah, you're right. They didn't roll over and just let it happen. And people like, Armin Nault, Scott Bilecki, leaders from 2928, Vicki Shepard from our department. And then, of course, locals like 1403, very powerful organizations, worked and worked and worked, but never got any ground at all with the legislation in Florida until 2019. And that was right after the Bull Walk.
Yeah.
And the big attention that Tom Bullhill from Orange County Fire Rescue, the big spotlight that he helped put on the cancer issue.
Yeah.
A lot of people worked on it. It's not just Bull, but I do know that I feel Bull's push up the state from Key West. The story of Bull is real quickly is that all by himself in Key West with a pack and 2 names and 2 shields on it, 2 guys that he lost to cancer. He says, I'm going to start walking and I'm going to start talking. And he goes, by the time I get to Tallahassee, I hope somebody's standing with me. And the world came out for him.
Yeah.
And what he did along the way was he collected badges, helmet shields, PATs. That's where this came from. This is the second band, but the first band we made quickly while he was coming up the state. And I said, I need something to strap to the pack to show the impact that our department, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue alone had at that time with 24 names. Now, sadly, 32 names from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue are represented here. But these are all firefighters that a lot of them, almost 90% that I worked with. And we strapped this, it was a memorial to Palm Beach County. And as he walked the state, the same thing happened. Miami-Dade put 131 names on his pack.
Wow.
So departments that took stock of this and they saw what he was doing began to add this stuff. By the time he got to Tallahassee, he had, I think the number was 7 or 8 packs full of these representatives of firefighters that mostly lost their life to cancer. About 10% of them were actually PTSD suicides. But in the end, he didn't have 1 or 2 guys with him. He had an entourage of close to 1,000 firefighters walking into Tallahassee to the steps.
So this is a long list, too long, way too long list of people that didn't make it to enjoy any kind of a life after the fire department. What can our firefighters that are just getting on the job now or who have been on the job, what kind of things can they do to make sure that they have some sort of a life after retirement?
First thing I want to say to you, Chief, is this. The fact that you're opening up something that is a vision of yours, an opportunity to talk about the things that are so important in the fire service, and that you would ask me to be here, and that you would make this the focus of the topic, shows your finger on the pulse of what really matters. It's not about just going home, Chief, is it? Everybody goes home. It's not about that. Everybody lives into and enjoys retirement should be the real benchmark that we'd be shooting for. So asking the question, what can young firefighters do, is exactly what Butch would have asked. It's exactly what we ask as a FACE team, Firefighters Attacking the Cancer Epidemic. We form teams inside of our department, and other departments have done similar things as well. Some have named it FACE. Firefighters Attacking the Cancer Epidemic was the name of our team, and we took that to a state level, and there's actually departments around the United States that have done the same thing. Taking the departments themselves first is taking a a serious view of what this is, and then understanding you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of best practices out there that you can start implementing right now. What would we say to a young firefighter? First thing is awareness. You're in a dangerous job. You signed up for this. That is the truth. We have a life. We have lives to save. We have properties to maintain and to protect. We have to do the job, but it doesn't mean that we have to do it haphazardly. And once you know there is a danger, just like if you know you can read smoke and you can see that a place is about
the fire's going,
start to flash, just as you can visualize a potential collapse. If you're out on the roadway and you know that there's not traffic cones out, you put those up to prevent. You take preventative measures and you read the job, and if you can make adjustments to prevent that exposure that's going to kill you, whether it's the traffic, whether it's the collapse, whether it's the backdraft, if it's the flashover, or if it's something like this that's a hidden danger, cancer, you have to take those measures. Do you stop doing the job? You don't. You still get in there and get things done. But at the point that you're able to start cleaning yourself up, at the point that you can recognize that the gear itself after a fire is dangerous to me, and how can I distance myself from it? How can I clean myself off? How can I stop the absorption? How can I off gas, or even maybe, there's saunas out there that you can actually, sweat this stuff out of your system. There's a lot of ways to get to that. But the point is that if you're aware of it first, and then we teach those measures on what you can do to prevent those absorptions, at least we can begin to reduce the numbers of cancers in the fire service. We're never going to eliminate it, right? Yeah. But we have to take a reduction thought process across the board. It starts at the fire station and it starts on the fire ground.
Well, I think you've done an amazing job locally and statewide and getting the message out, and and I've already seen things that have come to fruition just since I've been out of the business, and it's a testament to you, and it's a testament to your heart and where your heart is. I mean, you're retired now. There's nothing that compels you to do this other than just your heart. So, I mean, I've always admired you and what you've done, and I'm just tickled to have you a part of this.
It's great to be a part of it and to have an opportunity to recognize. I want anybody listening to this, and obviously you as well, to understand that I think one of the best things that we had going for us is the team concept. It took a lot of people to get to where we needed to go, and there was an understanding from people that are reasonable about this, that there's nothing more important than the health and safety of the firefighters, of the frontline workers. As we moved into this, going back to Vicki Shepard, myself, chairing the first phase team at Palm Beach County. Nobody had a team concept like that I know of anywhere, but we knew that we needed to do things right. And I would say to anybody listening here, if you're from a fire department that's currently looking at cancer prevention, one of the best things that you can do for your fire chief is to create a team concept. We were volunteering. Can you imagine, Chief, if you had a group of 5 or 10 people that were meeting on a regular basis that said, we're committed to this, Chief, we want to make this happen. Well, budget-wise, you can't do everything, but at least you had a group that you knew was meeting every month. How would you use that? You would. You'd say, hey, can you look into this? We want to get a second set of hood. We can't do it right now. We want to go to hood swap. We want to go to glove swap. I know Palm Beach County's doing this. Miami-Dade's doing this. Jacksonville's doing this. Can you look into that for me and get back to me? I've got other things I've got to take care of. That's what we did for Palm Beach County. Our team, we committed to meeting once a month. We said we are going to meet once a month, whether there's somebody here or not. And they knew we were committed. It took them a while. Mm-hmm. Within about 6 months, they started putting stuff on our table and say, hey, take a look at this, look into this. We want to bring you into this. We're looking at station design. So I would say to anybody that's got a burning desire to have some movement on this as far as firefighter cancer prevention is concerned, one of the first things you can do is network with the people in the department. Understand it's going to take people from the training division, from special operations. We use that as far as the chemical side of it. But the training division, operations, support services, your benevolent, whoever's your local, being involved at that level, the leaders bringing them to the table and say, let's get one person from every area, fire investigators, get them on board. Your media group, whoever's putting out your messaging, have them there as well, because you got to get this information out to your people. So we formed on the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative on the website, floridafirefightersafety.org. You can go on there and it will show you how to create our template for how to create a FACE team, and then how the department could utilize that to move the needle in each department moving forward. Whether it's Florida, it doesn't matter what state, it's that whole team concept that helped make this work.
Now, do you know, are they incorporating any of this new information into like the minimum standards classes anymore? My son just started the fire academy. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I didn't.
He just started this past week. And
congratulations.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it. I'm tickled.
I can see it. And rightfully so. It's a great career. And, the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative formed in 2016, just after we had formed, probably about 2 years after we had formed the FACE team. We saw what Chris Bader was doing in Coral Springs, Parkland, uniting the fire service down here in the Southeast. That quickly became a statewide movement. We latched onto that, and I'm getting to your question here. We decided to create a statewide FACE team inside the collaborative, made up of departments from all over the state, from Jacksonville to Broward County, Palm Beach County, Town of Palm Beach, West Palm Beach Gardens, Miami-Dade, City of Miami. These were some of the first departments. We also knew how important it was to have science along with us. The University of Miami Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center was at the table when we started. And we also reached out to the Firefighter Cancer Support Network and Keith Tyson, which was our director at the time, knowing that we wanted them at the table as well. We're an organization locking arms with another organization in that institution to start this FACE team thought process for the state and for the collaborative. Shortly after that, the Florida Fire Chiefs Association was looking to do some revamping and kind of push the needle forward on health and safety. They saw what we were doing and latched on to the collaborative, and basically, from our standpoint, we partnered with them as well, and we started moving some of this stuff forward. Shortly thereafter, I'm trying to make this really quick, but it didn't take long before we were able to actually get at the table with the minimum standards. Mike Tucker, Julius Hallis, at the highest levels at that point, the Fire College and also the Fire Marshal's Office, brought us in, and we began to assist. Vicki Shepard did a lot of work, myself, Chris Bader, Gina Hudson, writing curriculum, helping to write curriculum for the state, and now it's mandatory training for your son when he comes into it. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
How would Butch even think that was possible?
Yeah.
And now when they come in, not only are the fire instructors compelled and required to teach this stuff to the practical level, but the firefighters are going to get that when they start. We didn't get any of that. We had to find out on the fly. So it's going to have a big impact here in the state of Florida for that.
That's huge.
It is.
It's huge. Man, and just, thinking about our careers and thinking about, early on in our career, never heard about this kind of stuff happen. So things have changed in construction. Things have changed in how materials are made, making stuff lighter and cheaper and all that. Sure. And this is some of the ramifications of it.
You would think, and I talk about this when I teach the courses that we have for cancer prevention. We're not dealing with legacy fires anymore. We have a modern fuels. You walk into a fire environment, and you're faced with something different than you were back in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s. It's a different fire now. Mm-hmm. It's much faster. It increases quickly. And because of that, industry recognized it and made our gear stronger and hardier, and we're able to go in longer, deeper, and be protected from the stuff you think you're being protected. So all that innovation happened before we really knew what was happening with cancer. And so you would think with all the innovation that we would have less cancer numbers, and we don't.
No,
They're
it's gotten
not.
worse.
They're actually getting worse.
Yeah.
And why is that? It's because of what we're looking at here. Laminates, you know,
Yeah.
wall coverings, plastics, electronics. When you walk into a typical structure fire, you're dealing with modern fuels. You're dealing with a black, heavy, oil-based, petroleum-based fuel, and it's getting into everything. And so that's what we have to help the firefighter understand, is that it's not time for a selfie, it's time for a wipe. You know, you got to get this stuff off as soon as possible, because you're just a biological being in an unnatural environment. And if you continue to do that over the course of a career, something's going to give.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really impactful stuff. And I know, you brought some stuff with you. I want you to talk a little bit about, I know it's tough to hear it, but if people are watching this, I want them to know what exactly are we looking at here?
So I think I'll start. Let me start with this helmet. Butch handed this helmet to me, and when he handed it to me, this is Butch under here, under the lid. The photo of him is actually in the lid there, Chief. Butch Smith, and also Paulie Petrovessa, driver operator from Coral Springs Parkland. His memorial card is in there as well. But these are all crosses with the dates. Firefighters as young as Ralph Garcia, 28 years old, brain cancer. On here also is, Eric Patry from City of Delray, 37-year-old brain cancer. Brain cancer is 10 times that of the general population in firefighters. You're looking at all types of different cancers, but you see the crosses representing those losses. If we don't remember their names, if we don't continue to recall, we're not going to know the impact. And I think the biggest aha for me was when we started doing the cancer prevention classes at Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, and I would hold this band up, this memorial band. And I'd do this every single time. And I would say, we were doing this for on-duty personnel, not just for the recruits. We've done this for the recruits just recently. As a matter of fact, yesterday, we were teaching the recruits at Palm Beach County. We had a band just like this. So we have a third replica of it. But I'd hold this in front of these people that I'd worked with for 2-3 decades. And I'd say, I want you to raise your hand if you know a firefighter from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue that's lost their life to cancer. And everybody's hand goes up. Somebody knows somebody in our department that's died from cancer. Yeah. So keep your hands up. Do you know 2? Do you know 3? Do you know 4? And about 4, everybody puts their hands down. And I haven't presented this yet. And I said, do you know 5? Do you know 10 firefighters from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue that's lost their life to cancer? Do you know 15? Do you know 20? Do you know 25? Do you know 30? Do you know 32? And they're all looking at me like, you're nuts. And I hold this thing up and I start passing it around. And everybody knows Mike McJury, John Lobsiger, Butch Smith, Henry Cassell, Jerry Countryman, Tim Monahan, Mike Sweeney, Tom Cook. Gives me goosebumps reading these names. Yeah. And you start looking at the impact of your own department. And you start asking yourself, this is the guys that, and one girl, Cindy Steinhoff, that passed away from cancer. And this is the ones that fought and made it into remission. The ones that are currently fighting are 10 times this. The impact of cancer is gigantic in just our department alone, certainly every department. But if you don't take stock of that, people are going to put their hand down at 3, maybe not even put their hand up at 1 because they just haven't seen it. If we can be better as a fire service in remembering those that have lost and paid the ultimate sacrifice and put it together like this, it can create the why that's necessary for a captain that's been there for 20 years to go, I need to do something different. Yeah. And if the captain does that, what's going to happen to the crew, right? Yeah. If Cap's going to do this, I'm going to do it. And that's the importance of the point that I'm trying to make here is that if we have to create a why for people sometimes, and something like this can help if you take stock of it.
Yeah. We want to see people making it to the other side, the whatever you call it, the other shift or the D shift. Yeah, exactly. We want to see people's names there. Yep. We don't want to see them on this band.
Exactly. True story.
So stuff like this, prevention obviously is key. making changes in how we do business, will help get more people there. But we're never gonna, like you said, we're never gonna totally wipe this thing out.
No, it won't. We won't, because we're general population.
Yeah.
So to sit here and say that every one of these firefighters is a career-related cancer, we want to say that because it's the tendency, but there's a chance that some of these would have gotten cancer whether they were a firefighter or not. And if we don't say that, we sound stupid, really, because there's an American Cancer Society for a reason, and that has nothing to do with the fire service.
Right.
What makes us different, though, is when the studies have been done by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, and I got to give a shout out to Dr. Alberto Caban, Dr. Natasha Sali, and their leader, great leader, Dr. Aaron Kobitz, and that whole machine of Sylvester, the work that they've done to help study science. When they go in and look at it, they understand that we are clearly 2 to 3 to 4, depending on the type of cancer, and brain cancers through the roof, lot more likely to get cancer than the general population. What makes us different is what we need to approach as a fire service.
Yeah,
that's what we have to work on. So, yes, and again, I can't say enough about those organizations. The Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative obviously gave us a great opportunity as a collaborative team to work with institutions like Sylvester, with the State Fire Marshal's Office, with the State Fire College. Those are fantastic organizations. I'm with a new organization called the National Coalition of Frontline Workers. We are also taking this very seriously from a standpoint that, first of all, January is Cancer Awareness Month, thankfully recognized by the Florida Firefighter Cancer Support Network, and also our organization, the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative, and the International Association of Firefighters, will recognize this month as Cancer Prevention Month, or Cancer Awareness Month, and we have there's a lot that goes around with. So for our organization, the National Coalition of Frontline Workers, we have some exciting stuff that I'd love to come back maybe next month and talk about, that we're going to be moving on and launching as far as firefighter cancer prevention and reduction is concerned.
Awesome. Obviously we don't want this to all be doom and gloom. There's I'm sure there's plenty of good survivor stories.
There are.
Walk me through somebody that, because of these initiatives, has, through early detection, found out that they have a problem and taken steps and are on the mend.
I don't have to go too far. My co-chair, Gina Hudson, who got involved with us, her husband is a captain for Davie Fire Rescue, and got diagnosed with leukemia. Now, leukemia is not on the 21 cancer list, surprisingly, and it should be, honestly. And that's something that we hope to see changed as we move forward to increase the 21 cancers that are covered by the state, to add the other ones that are pretty much prominent in the fire service as well. But he had a re-diagnosis last year. It was scary for him. He had gone into remission. He was good, back on the job, working fine, and then all of a sudden it came back. They got great news recently that he's back in remission again. And you brought up a good point, is that these are the ones, I guess, the doom and gloom. These are the ones that have lost their life. There's a lot of firefighters that have been diagnosed in a stage 1, a stage 2 scenario where they jumped on it right away. Early diagnosis, early recognition is so important and so key. And that's the departments that are taking that seriously. And I've got to commend our benefits clinic, Dr. John Villa, Mike Sedgwick, and the aggressiveness that they've taken with regards to firefighter cancer. Dr. Villa sees it all, and he's our biggest proponent as far as the FACE team and stuff like that. So that should make you happy. It should also alarm you that the doctor that sees everybody goes, "You guys need to do something."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When your doctor that cares about you is like beating the drum for you, that's a huge thing, right? So, and if he was like, "Yeah, you guys are all right, don't worry about it, relax." No, he's not doing that. He's literally the exact opposite. Yeah. So he's very proactive, and he's all about early recognition. That while we're talking about the topic, if one of the things you can do, if you don't have a firefighter benefits clinic like Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, you ought to look into it. But if you don't have that, just understand this, the importance of this. If you're a firefighter and you're in the fire service and you have a general practitioner, please empower your doctor to know how important it is for him to look at you differently. You need to be looked at differently. You need your study, your assessments, your certain tests done. Colonoscopies need to be done early. If there's something that doesn't seem right, dig a little deeper. Don't try to discount it, because a lot of times these things are very, very suspicious to a regular physician. There's no way you could have multiple myeloma cancer. You're 46 years old. That doesn't happen to the general population until they're in their 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
There's no way it's that. They didn't pick up on Butch's cancer right away because they're not looking at him under the lens of, hey, there's a problem.
Yeah,
so
you're a firefighter, anything could be something more than what it seems.
So just if you haven't had that conversation with your physician, it's an important one to have, because they will at least, they might brush you off initially, but maybe you bring some documentation in and you say, here's the deal. These firefighters have a potential of getting the following cancers much more rapidly than other people. You may do it while you're not having any symptoms, but continue to mention that when you're being assessed, and get out there and get those assessments done and don't discount them. And then on the flip side, as we're talking about retirement and the life after the fire, if you're in retirement, you got an annual physical every year while you're working. Do not stop doing that.
Keep doing that. Yeah.
Keep doing it. Don't wait. We have some bad stories, and there's a story on here of one of the guys that's on this band that didn't go for 4 or 5 years until he had a problem, and it was too late at that point. So do absolutely stay on top of your physicals as you're going into retirement. It's so important. I know I do, and I can absolutely tell you that I'm not going to stop doing that, because I know we have a tendency to have for something to happen to us.
Yeah. Well, I think all this has been great information. There's plenty of other things I would love to dive deeper into with you. But man, what an impact. I can't say enough how proud I am to know you and all the things that you've done to help move this cause forward, the impact that it's having on firefighters today and in the future. When you really step back and do a high level look at that, and you think of the impact that you're having,
I'm happy for all of us.
It's something.
I am. I feel very lucky and fortunate to have been around a lot of people that felt the same way about this. And I know that the work we've done collectively and collaboratively through our organization, but also the organizations that were networking and locking arms with us, have a lot to be proud of, because there's a huge impact. Florida set a bar for the rest of the nation, and we know we've had one sliver of the impact of that Florida impact. So I appreciate the kind words, and I accept it for a ton of people.
Yeah.
A ton of people, in honor of them.
So the way I like to end all of these conversations
is with a shot.
All these the first one is to have some sort of a call of action.
Okay.
All right. So I think here the call to action for people that are listening, that are concerned about this, that want to maybe look at implementing FACE teams and getting more information about cancer and incidents in the fire service and stuff. What would be a great way for them to move the needle, keep moving that bar higher? Would it be to reach out to you, or where would you send somebody? Absolutely. The easiest thing, I would just say, just for everybody, as far as the resource is concerned, there are a number of them. If you're looking for some solid resources, go to FloridaFirefighterSafety.org. That's the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative's website. If you're looking to get involved and support in a great way, getting in touch with the Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center and the Dolphin Cancer Challenge, which is coming up in February, which is a great way to raise funds to help with funding for research dollars.
Of course, you can always donate to the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative as well on our website. And then if you get diagnosed, reaching out to us or the Firefighter Cancer Support Network, fcsn.org is another resource for you. And why they're good is they take a peer support kind of role in that. So if somebody was to get a certain type of cancer, a thyroid cancer, a prostate cancer, a liver cancer, if they get that type of cancer, what the FCSN does is they link you up with a brother or sister firefighter that's had that same type of cancer. And now you have an immediate mentor that's already gone down the road. Butch was a mentor for the FCSN. So the FCSN, the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative, and also Sylvester would be some places I would send people. And then as far as a call to action, I just want everybody to understand that this is don't wait for your fire department. Don't wait for your training division. Don't wait for operations. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. Understand that this is a personal commitment to yourself to last into retirement and be healthy. So it's not just the cancer exposures that's just the stuff that we're exposed to in the fire. There are other things that have impact you in the job. Sleep deprivation is one of the worst things. Working shift work is clearly known by the World Health Organization as a problem for any person on shift work. And it lowers your immunity, just that alone. Now throw in alcohol, too much of it. A shot every once in a while, not a big deal. But alcohol, throw in, drug abuse, throw in the stressors of marriages, and throw in some weight gain, maybe not getting out there and exercising like you need to. Take that firefighter that has all those impacts and throw them into the most toxic environment. And this is why we have a recipe for disaster. So I would just say to every firefighter listening, it's about personal accountability. It's not just about, okay, well, they're not giving me what I need, so I'm not going to do anything. You can take measures. You can immediately understand how important it is for you to clean up and wipe up on a scene. You can know that as soon as I get back to the station, I'm going to get a shower, and I hope to get that shower within an hour of the fire scene. I'm going to distance myself from my gear. I'm not going to throw it in my trunk. I'm certainly not going to throw it in the back seat on top of my baby seats. I'm not going to have my dirty gear around my family. There are things that every firefighter can do today to distance themselves and make themselves less susceptible to these constant exposures. Take note. Get involved with your department. Help the department out, and volunteer for one project that could actually make things better. But again, just to me is look at yourself. See where you can make it better, and understand that's the biggest impact you can have on yourself is your self-awareness and your self-action.
That's awesome. Sam, I can't thank you enough for coming in today. I hope to have you on again to talk a little bit more just on the personal side of, things that you've been doing and
sure.
And how you got ready for the other side and what you're doing. So
that's awesome.
Look forward to having you back.
I'm looking forward to coming back too. Chief, thank you so much for having me. And I'm honored to kick things off and set the benchmark very low for the next guest.
I don't know about that.
All right. Take care. Thank you.